Welcome grade 6 learners to this explainer. Today, we're focusing on a tiny mark that makes a massive difference in your writing. Listen carefully to our opening rule. After the opener, pause. Okay, let's dive right in by looking at how one small mark changes how easily we can read a sentence. Read this first version with me. First, read the question carefully. It feels super rushed, doesn't it? Now, read it with punctuation. First, read the question carefully. That one comma tells your brain exactly when to take a breath.
Think of the introduction to your sentence like a small opening door. When you start your sentence with an opening word or phrase, you're basically opening that door. But after opening it, you must use a comma before walking into the main room, which is your main sentence. So the pattern is actually really simple. Introductory word or phrase, a comma, and then the main sentence.
Now, what's really interesting here is that these openers can be single-time words, or they can be longer phrases. You might use single words like first, next, finally, suddenly, and however. Or you might use longer phrases like in the morning, after school, before the exam, or at the end of the story. The really cool part, the comma rule works exactly the same for all of them.
This brilliantly illustrates our rule in action on an exam instruction. First is our opening door. That introductory word leads directly to a big pause, the comma, right before the main sentence. This structure makes it absolutely perfect. Here's another model using a single word, showing exactly where that large comma sits before the main action. Next, introduces the step, followed immediately by the comma, leading smoothly right into our main sentence. Underline the key words.
Notice how the pattern stays exactly the same, even when our opening door is a longer phrase. In the morning sets the scene. Then we place our large comma right after it, just before we move on to the main action. We packed our bags.
You can see the intro leading to the comma and the comma leading to the main sentence perfectly here. After school sets the time, and the large comma separates it, giving us a clean, incredibly easy-to-read sentence.
So the crucial point to remember is that whether it's a time phrase or an abrupt action, the comma separates the opener from the rest of the thought. Even with a dramatic word like suddenly, the comma steps in right before the action of the lights actually going out.
All right, let's look at a common mistake that costs marks on exams. Can you spot what's missing right after our opener? Read this sentence aloud. First, read the question carefully. See how the words all just crash into each other without a pause?
Because first is an introductory word, we absolutely must fix it by dropping in that large comma. Now the sentence actually has structure, and that perfectly placed comma lets the whole thing breathe.
Here's another missing mark. Try reading the sentence aloud. After school, I finished my homework. Read it and see where your voice naturally wants to take a breath. It feels a bit stuck, doesn't it?
After school is our opening door, requiring that crucial comma right before we talk about the homework. See how much better it reads now? That large comma fixes the sentence instantly.
Take a careful look at this abrupt sentence and think about what punctuation mark it needs to make visual sense. Suddenly, the door opened. Where exactly does the opener stop and the main sentence start?
Since suddenly introduces the action, we add our comma to make the reading smooth and exam perfect. The large comma completely saves the structure of the sentence.
Now, let's move to our mini quiz and see how this builds your exam skills with a quick challenge. Find the missing comma in this sentence. Next, open your workbook. Where should it go?
Excellent work if you place that large pause right after our opening word. Next, followed by our large comma before open your workbook. Perfect.
Question 2. Look closely at this longer opener and decide where the main sentence begins. Before the test, I revised grammar. Think about it for a few seconds.
Spot on. The introductory phrase before the test is followed by our trusted large comma. You need that pause before saying I revised grammar. Great job.
Final question of this explainer. Identify exactly where the opening door ends in the sentence. Finally, we understood the answer. Take a second to find the comma's home.
Brilliant job locking in that rule with a final, perfectly placed comma. Finally gets its pause, and our large comma gives us that crisp, clear sentence.
Lock this review card right into your memory for test day. Opening first, comma, next, main sentence after. It's a simple, reliable pattern that will make your English writing polished and so easy to grade.
So what other invisible doors are missing commas in your essays today? And how quickly will your grades jump
once you start adding them. Think about it the next time you pick up a pen. Save this punctuation rule and subscribe for Cambridge English in 5 minutes. Keep practicing, and I'll see you in the next explainer.